Okay, so I just finished episode 2 of Ironheart, and it was considerably better than episode 1. I'd still say it's not great, but it is not too bad. Okay, so I'm gonna just do a quick beat by beat of what happens in the episode. Um, Riri meets Parker's team, the Haas team. We meet Slug, who is their techie. Slug, the name's ironic because they look like a slug. Uh, you have the siblings, which are like your muscle. Clown, which is your pyrotechnic. Once again, looks like a clown, so it's fitting. John is like Parker's second in command. And there's a bit of your Marvel humor, which is a bit much. It gets a bit irritating. We hear a bit more of how broke Riri is. I mean, she even asks for money, when they're getting paid. Then we see a bit more of Natalie. She's basically a bootleg Jarvis, but I feel like this will have a bit more development to it, so I'm not completely against it. Riri's not sure how Natalie was created, even though she knows she scanned her brain to try and recreate the AR. I think even later on in the episode she acknowledges that's how Natalie came about, but either way, it's not great. There's a lot of minor nitpicks which I'm not going to go into because otherwise this video, yeah, hours long and I'd rather not. Okay, so Riri needs to get parts for her suit and she's directed to Joe. Joe is basically a collector of all sorts of technology and that, and I can't remember the term they use it. Eco-ethics. It's something to do with ethics anyway. And he collects all this technology. He actually doesn't even touch it. He just likes collecting it. He's a bit of a loser, a bit of a pussy. Can't even stand up to a neighbor whose dog's shitting on his lawn, and he's also a bit stupid. But that's something you could say about everyone in the show. I mean, Riri's supposed to be very intelligent, but she's also quite dumb. And she even says, while they're in the car, that Joe was actually born with the power to be confident. And it didn't quite sit well, but wasn't a terrible comment. Uh, we have a bit of Natalie. Natalie sees Riri's mother, and it's a bit cringy. It's not great, but cringe is basically what a lot of Marvel has become, so it's a bit redundant to keep saying it. We have a little bit more Marvel cringe in the car when they're singing Alanis Morissette, but it's a good song, so I'm not going to argue it. So we eventually see Joe's place where he keeps all his tech. He mentions his dad gave him this love for technology. I don't remember if they said who his father is yet. I know who his father is from spoilers online, so there's a good tease to it, but yeah, not happy with it. Anyway, he knows Riri's an idiot too, which also helps. We find out that the suit is solar because arc reactors are expensive, even though Tony Stark made one in a cave with a box of scraps. Something Joe would know. And Riri's supposed to be super intelligent, so why can't she just make an arc reactor? Again, Riri's stupid. One thing I do want to say though is that I do actually like the suit design for Ironheart. Comes off as a bit like cartoony, but it's not too bad. Okay, so then we come to their plan. They're planning on extorting the CEO of Tunnel, this company that's building tunnels underneath New York. I actually saw a point where the main guy, or the second command, used knives on one of the security guards, and I thought he killed him. That's why I was like, if I could just kill that guy. But then when they fight later on, it's non-lethal kill, so I assume it's not lethal. He just stabbed that guy. We have some CGI with the suit going into the tunnel, and it's not great. You get a bit more bad CGI later on. I'm not a fan. Which is weird because there's certain segments in the episode where the CGI isn't terrible. So it's strange that they drop the ball with the suit. There's some parts where the suit looks terrible, some parts where it looks okay. But a lot of the time, especially if like the suit's mask is off, you can tell. Well, actually, I'm not sure if they used a physical suit or not, but it doesn't look like it. Anyway, we have the tunnel segment. It's not bad. It could have done with a bit better filming, not so jumpy back and forth, but otherwise okay. Um, Please don't forget that Riri is stupid because she gets a fright from Natalie and drops the data drive that they needed. They do end up coming up with a secondary plan. One thing I liked was when Riri was beneath the car, she has her hand of the suit come off and she can remotely control it. That's kind of a cool touch. Okay, then we see a bit more about the leader of the gang, Parker. he teleports into the CEO's car. He's the only one we've seen now that actually has powers. It's because of the hood he wears. Can't remember if they hinted at episode 1, but I didn't pay much attention to episode 1 because it was pretty fucking shit. Anyway, he teleports in the car, extorts the CEO, and their plan does work. Riri gets out of the tunnel and is confronted by a cop. Natalie freaks out when the cop points a gun at them, which implies that this hologram can have panic attacks. It's okay. Anyway, the cop does almost shoot Riri, but then he gets shot by a very strange bullet. Again, coming from Parker, the gang leader. It's a bit more mystical, and it instantly made me think of something like Doctor Strange, and I know magic does play a role in this show, so I'm not surprised. But one very notable point here is that Riri isn't okay with death. She's very shocked that he might have killed the cop, and he reassures her that he didn't. I think he did. And it's very strange. So we hear that from one of the other gang members that the hood itself is magical of sorts, and it's possibly demonic, because she does mention demonic, that he stole it from a demon or something. I'm leaning more towards that again because I do know a bit more of what happens in the show. I haven't had full spoilers yet, but yeah. And she says it's like he had scales on his skin, which is very strange because at the end of the episode we see what he looks like on his skin and it's not scales. Anyway, we're laying the seeds of not trusting this guy. Another moment I want to point out is that Natalie's very strange. She seems to be more of an embodiment of the original Natalie, not of Riri's memory of Natalie. And I'm wondering if there might be more to that. Maybe there is something demonic or mystical happening with her as well. Even Natalie can sense Parker's being strange, which, if it is demonic, I don't see how a robot would be able to sense that, unless it's also something strange. Riri keeps saying the word sus. I know, sorry, a little tangent, but she says it like twice in this episode, and if she keeps saying it, I'm just gonna lose it. It's just ridiculous. Oh, and we find out Riri's a Trekkie instead of being into Star Wars, which is also not great. But we do get a bit more of what happened with Parker. He takes off the hood, hangs it up, and speaks to him. So I'm definitely leaning more towards possession. And we see that he's got these weird like veins or going down his back, and they're starting to spread more and more, which is said by the second in command guy. And it's caused by the hood. He says it's fun, and that's why I said it didn't look anything like scales, it's veins. It made me think of like symbiotes and that sort of thing, which maybe this could be it. Either way, it's getting worse. So he's not to be trusted. Riri's mother does speak to her about Natalie and even asks her to recreate one of Greg, the other guy who died. But Riri says she can't, even though Riri knows sort of how she made Natalie. I guess not wanting to put herself at risk, but why not say that? Not just say, no, I can't do it. Either way, that's it. And right at the end of the episode, Joe grows a bit of a pear and goes and cuts his neighbor's flowers down after a dog shits on his lawn. All in all, compared to the first episode, it's definitely a step up. I'm still not going to say it's a good series, because, not be thing, for the past like 5 different shows, Marvel hasn't been good. Plays too much on its tropes, its quirky humor. Riri Williams is not a character I would have adapted at all, because of the comic run she had that I didn't really enjoy. But other than that, this definitely is improving. I'd say the first episode was probably a 3 or a 4 out of 10, and this is a solid 5, maybe a 6. I do plan on watching the rest of the show, and I'm gonna give my opinion on the rest of the episodes. Maybe it'll improve, maybe it'll go down, but so far, episode 2 wasn't the worst thing on earth. And if you enjoyed my review, please let me know. If you hated the episode, tell me why. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm always interested to hear. I'm not going to outright say I hate the show just because I hate certain aspects of it. And I think that's a mistake a lot of reviewers do, is that they judge it too quickly. If something's shit, it's shit, but you've got to watch it to see. You can't judge it off of clips here and there, because some of the clips I've seen of the show make it look fucking terrible. And now that I've watched 2 episodes, I'd say it's not as bad. I still don't agree with like the critics score being really high, because I think it's like 80-something%. It's not that good. but I don't think the show yet is at a 3.9 out of 10 like the IMDb says. I'd say, actually, no, it's just about a 4, 4.5. We'll see how the next episode goes, and I'll see you all in the next video.